Historic royal moment. Princess Leonor 2025 wedding uniting Spain and Danish royal family. The morning sun rose gently over Copenhagen, spilling gold across the marble steps of Christianborg Palace. The air was electric, filled with the hum of history in motion. People had gathered from across Europe, Spaniards waving red and gold flags, Danes dressed in royal blue and white, all waiting for the moment that would forever link two royal houses. No one knew that what they were about to witness would become one of the most unforgettable chapters in modern royal history. Because today, it wasn't just a wedding. It was the moment that would unite two nations, two legacies, and two hearts, the historic marriage of Her Royal Highness Princess Leonor of Spain and His Royal Highness Prince Christian of Denmark. But here's what left the world speechless: this union wasn't just about crowns or diplomacy. It was about love that defied distance, duty that embraced emotion, and two young royals who dared to rewrite what monarchy looks like in 2025. As the bells of Copenhagen began to ring, every street, every balcony, every television in Spain and Denmark tuned in to witness the long-awaited moment. The cameras caught a breathtaking sight: Leonor stepping out of the royal carriage, her gown gleaming in the northern light. It wasn't overly grand or heavy with jewels. Instead, it was timeless, Spanish silk, embroidered with Danish lace, symbolizing the bond between her homeland and her new one. The crowd fell silent. Every movement, every breath she took seemed sacred. This was the princess they had watched grow up, the girl who had once nervously given her first speech at 13, now walking toward her destiny as a future queen and wife. At the end of the aisle stood Prince Christian, poised, but visibly emotional. For a split second, he looked like a young boy seeing the love of his life for the first time. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Cameras zoomed in, and millions watching from their living rooms could feel it. This wasn't a performance. This was real. And as she reached the altar, something unexpected happened. Christian whispered softly, "You're finally here." Leonor smiled, her lips trembling slightly, and replied, "Always was." The ceremony began under the majestic dome of the palace chapel, blending centuries-old Danish tradition with modern Spanish warmth. The music wasn't the usual austere royal march, it was a moving orchestral arrangement blending Spanish guitar with Danish strings. It felt like the merging of two souls through sound. The archbishop's voice echoed through the hall, but the world hung on the couple's every glance. Then came the moment that would break protocol entirely. Instead of reciting the pre-written royal vows, Leonor and Christian had chosen to write their own. Leonor began first, her voice calm but full of emotion. "I stand here not only as a princess of Spain but as a woman who believes that love and leadership must share the same heart. Today, I promise not just loyalty, but understanding, patience, and partnership, in every day that follows." Christian's response followed, and the sincerity in his words silenced the entire room. "You taught me that royalty is not about titles, it's about service, and love is its truest form. With you, I see the world not as a throne, but as a home." As the vows ended, a quiet tear rolled down Queen Letitia's cheek. King Felipe clasped his hands, visibly proud. Across the aisle, Queen Mary of Denmark smiled warmly, leaning gently toward her husband, King Frederick. You could feel it, this was bigger than ceremony. It was unity in its purest form. When the rings were exchanged, the cathedral bells erupted once again, echoing across the Danish capital. Outside, thousands of fans cheered as the couple sealed their vows with a kiss that instantly sent shockwaves across the internet. Within minutes, #historic royal moment, and #Leonor and Christian were trending worldwide. But the story didn't end at the altar. It was only beginning. As the newlyweds stepped onto the palace balcony, the energy in Copenhagen was indescribable. The Spanish and Danish flags waved side by side. Crowds chanted their names in both languages. Children climbed onto their parents' shoulders to catch a glimpse of the young couple waving with wide, genuine smiles. Leonor leaned slightly toward Christian, whispering something that made him laugh, an unguarded, boyish laugh that melted the formality of the moment. It was clear, behind the royal etiquette, this was a real couple in love. The reception followed in the grand hall, glittering with chandeliers and flowers imported from both nations, red roses from Spain, white tulips from Denmark. But despite the grandeur, there was warmth. Guests described the atmosphere as intimate, a word rarely used in royal gatherings. The speeches began, and each one added another emotional layer to the day. King Felipe stood first, his tone proud yet deeply personal. "My daughter," he said, his voice firm but soft, "you have carried the hopes of a nation with grace beyond your years. Today, you carry our love into a new home, and with it, our shared future." Queen Letizia followed, her words heartfelt. "Leonor, when I see you, I see a woman who leads not through power, but through empathy. And that, my dear, is the kind of queen the world needs." Later, Queen Mary of Denmark spoke briefly, looking at her son. "Christian, your father and I are proud. But remember, true royalty is found not in crowns, but in character. Let your marriage be your greatest reign." The moment that followed was cinematic. The lights dimmed, and the young couple took to the dance floor for their first dance. The orchestra began to play a modern orchestral remix of "Perfect" by Ed Sheeran, a nod to the generation they represent. The crowd watched in awe as they moved gracefully, eyes locked, the world watching every second. Throughout the night, the celebrations became more relaxed. Guests laughed, mingled, and shared in the joy. At one point, Leonor surprised everyone by performing a short Spanish dance, encouraging Christian to join her. The crowd cheered as the two playfully twirled under the lights, showing a side of royal life the world rarely sees, youthful, spontaneous, and real. Outside, fireworks lit up the Copenhagen sky, casting red and gold reflections over the palace's marble facade. It wasn't just a spectacle, it was a symbol. Spain and Denmark, two ancient monarchies, now forever intertwined through love. But perhaps the most unforgettable moment came later that night. As the festivities wound down, Leonor and Christian stepped out quietly onto the palace terrace. Away from the cameras, away from the noise, they stood hand in hand overlooking the city lights. Leonor looked at him and said softly, "We did it." Christian smiled, squeezing her hand. "We made history." In that moment, you could feel the truth of it. Because this wasn't just another royal wedding, it was the beginning of a new chapter for Europe. A chapter where tradition met progress, and love became the bridge between nations. The next morning, the headline said it all, a royal love that redefined the monarchy. Princess Leonor and Prince Christian, the modern royals Europe needed. Two nations, one future. For Spain, it was a moment of pride, a reassurance that the future of the crown was in strong, compassionate hands. For Denmark, it was a celebration of a monarchy that embraced humanity and love. And for the rest of the world, it was proof that even in the most formal of lives, love can still surprise us all. As the sun rose over Copenhagen the next day, the echoes of bells and cheers lingered. And for millions who watched from every corner of the world, one thing was clear: this was not just a royal wedding. It was a historic royal moment, a living symbol of unity, renewal, and timeless love that would be remembered for generations to come.